What is your biggest photography mistake and advice for new photographers to avoid making that mistake? Smiley face. Do you know what day it is today? It's Wednesday. You know what that means? It's Q&A Wednesday. If you haven't followed me on Instagram at Hayden_Pedersen, then definitely do that, because then you can send me a DM on that. If you send me a DM on that, I'll get back to you in videos like this today where I answer your questions and everything like that. So anyway, let's get into it. I want to do something with videography, but I'm not sure what specific type of work yet, whether it be freelance or the film industry. Would you recommend going to film school? Going to film school is a really good idea when you don't know exactly what you want to do. It does force you to kind of diversify your filmmaking so you can figure out what kind of filmmaking you like the most. When I went to film school, the greatest thing that I learned was story. Like, I've done a lot of my stuff like self-research, like editing and shooting, and like I kind of looked past story because I was like, oh, everyone talks about story, this and that, but it's actually the most important thing when it comes to filmmaking. So storytelling is something that you should definitely focus on whether you go to film school or not. Anyway, next question. What is your biggest photography mistake and advice for new photographers to avoid making that mistake? Smiley face. Love your videos, big fan. Thanks a lot, Mia B. My biggest photography mistake, on the top of my head, if you have your own photography business, you should definitely have a planner so you don't make the same mistake that I did, which is missing out on full gigs, and then like the people messaging you when you're maybe an hour away, like at your home, they're just like, where are you? And then you're just sitting at home, just like kind of doing something else, and then you're like, apart from that, before you go out to shoots, definitely make sure that you have all the equipment that you need, because there's been that many times where I've just forgotten an SD card when I've gotten to the place and we've traveled like an hour or half an hour or even 3 hours or whatever to get to this place. And it's just like not having an SD card is probably up there with one of the worst feelings that you can experience as a photographer or a filmmaker. How did you get good at taking pictures? Love the videos. Thank you, Andy. Practice, just practice. Don't think, just do. That's all there is. Greetings from Canada. Greetings from Australia. Australia. I sincerely enjoy the content you put out. I'm in the process of starting up my own Instagram page for photos. That's awesome. What advice would you give an absolute beginner starting out? My advice would 100% be to just go out, snap photos every single day. The more you practice, the better you get at it, and just keep uploading. The more consistent you upload, even if the photos are crap, and even if you don't think that they're great, putting your content out there, the more you do it, like the better you're gonna get at it, and you'll actually be able to see your progress even looking back down your feed. Like, you'll be like, oh, man, like look how bad I was of a photographer back when I started compared to now. So you gotta start somewhere. Just start taking photos, start uploading, and just keep doing that consistently, and that's the biggest advice I could give you. Who is your inspiration other than Casey Neistat? My other inspiration, this is gonna sound weird, is myself, because I've always just believed in myself and that inspires me. Any suggestions for taking photos at this time of the year? Lots of rain and it's dark by 4 p.m. where I live. 4 p.m.? What? I love your work, keep it up. Thanks, man. Thanks, Braden T. Cullen. Thank you. My suggestion would be, there's always time for doing things, you just have to make the time. So whether that be getting up early in the morning to take photos or whatever, like, and in my opinion, when it rains, it's actually like, I like the photos a lot better in the rain, depending on where you live as well. Like, I think that rainy photos in the city are much cooler than rainy photos in the country. So like, it all depends on where you live, but make the most of your situation, whatever it may be. Here is something that I know hasn't been asked before. Got a hair in my mouth. How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck? How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck? How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? If you have Google Assistant or Siri, ask it. Okay, here we go. Siri, how much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
An Apple spokesperson declined to comment.
What do you mean? Sup, Hayden? What's up? I was just wondering how you deal with every millennial saying that you're a photographer. You know how like every second photographer on Instagram has photographer in their bio. How do we set ourselves apart from all the others? Anyway, love all the videos. Keep them coming. Thanks, Jackson. I wouldn't really focus too much on setting yourself apart. I would be more focused on just like doing and just consistently doing, and then you find your own style along the way. Do you have many drone shots saves that you use on your videos, or every time you shoot a vlog, you shoot a new piece of footage? It's actually funny because it's actually gotten to the point in my vlogs where I'm like definitely noticing I've reused drone shots. So yeah, that answers your question. But I just tried to kind of shake it up and make sure that I haven't used those specific shots. Like when I do use the same shots, like I just kind of pray that you don't notice. How do you get good photos if you live in a boring location? The location does not matter. Think outside the box. There's always a way to make something more interesting. All right, well, that's the end of the Q&A session. I'm sorry if I didn't get back to you. Like, the more I grow on social media, the tougher, obviously, it is to answer all your questions because it's just like, I get more and more questions every day. And it's just like, it's crazy. If you like this video, maybe consider liking and subscribing. It's up to you. You know what to do. It was awesome hanging out with you again, and I'll catch you next time.